This is Camnet News. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. Thank you so much for inviting us in your homes or wherever you're watching us from, even on our socials, that's Facebook, Camnet TV, Zambia. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. Once again, let's look at the top stories on our desk tonight. Government calls on well wishers to fund the 2021 census. Parents still skeptical about the reopening of schools amidst COVID-19. Stakeholders demand for a fair application of the Public Order Act ahead of the 2021 general elections. In international news, Ugandan President MUSEVENI wins 60th term. And in sports news, Chief Pirates win on record breaking day for Super Sport. Join me shortly with the details.
2021 is finally here. Zambia is at the crossroads heading towards general elections this August. In the world where fake news, biased reporting on national issues has become the order of the day, in a world where social media in most cases spills lies and exaggerated information, insightful coverage, Zambia needs one media. Living in a country where people are slowly promoting tribalism, hatred, bitterness and revenge, political temperature is heating up and people's hearts are perplexed. Zambia needs one media. Zambia being a Christian nation living under the lordship of Jesus Christ, the nation cannot afford a compromised gospel. Zambia needs a prophetic media house. For hope, peace and unity, Zambia needs Camnet television for non-biased, factual reporting, balanced opinion, accurate news coverage. Zambia needs Camnet television for national projects and development of our beloved country Zambia. Watch Camnet TV on channel 274 DSTV, channel 98 on Go TV, and channel 106 on Topstar. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Thank you for joining us. The news in detail. The Zambia Statistics Agency says there is need for cooperating partners to come on board and help fund the census of housing and population scheduled for 2021. In an interview with Camnet TV, Zamstat's interim statistician, General Masepa Mulenga, says government has so far fully funded the mapping and listing exercise with support from the World Bank. A total budget of about 760 million was the initial budget needed to conduct the 2020 census of population and housing. Details on this.
Zambia was in 2020 expected to hold its census of population and housing at a cost of about 760 million kwacha or $53 million before the depreciation of the local currency. Of its total budget, government was expected to finance 60%, while the remaining 40% was to be financed by cooperating partners. However, the outbreak of COVID-19 has adversely impacted the Zambian economy, with resources being channeled towards the fight against the pandemic. And as such, government had adjourned the 2020 census to 2021, even though the date has not yet been fixed. Zambia Statistical Agency Interim Statistician General Masepa Mulenga is now calling on cooperating partners to come on board and help support the census for accurate information that will not only benefit the country but also the international community.
Support from the donor community is actually will be key in ensuring that the government's programs, which are important, are not disrupted. The census, like I always say, it's not just census for population and housing for this country, but it has implications. A good census has implications in terms of just the global planning. We've got a number of issues that require the international community to know exactly how many we are in the country, and there are so many other characteristics that will come out of the census. So I'm hopeful, and basically I think as just the head of the institution, I would like again to appeal to the cooperating partners to come on board.
The private sector in the country can also play a role in helping support the 2021 census of housing and population.
But also we will continue appealing to the private sector. We do understand that with the COVID they've been affected, but we will also realize that much of the data coming out of the mapping and listing, and which will come out of the the census will be very useful for both the public and the private sector to make informed decisions. And therefore, and the kind of help we are looking for, there's one help in the area of win-win situation, for example, in publicity, where we can co-brand the publicity materials like t-shirts, the aprons, the bags that we have to use in the field, and their brand will reach any part of the country, 45,000 people going out there.
While the census budget stood at about 760 million kwacha before the depreciation of our local currency against the United States dollars and the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, it is, however, not also a secret that Zambia is this year expected to conduct the general elections, which also demand resources. Prudence Chota for Camnet TV News.
Now, despite the country recording high cases of COVID-19, with Lusaka being an epicenter, many have continued to ignore the laid-down health guidelines. The second wave of the pandemic has seen many people succumb to the virus, but still people are reluctant to observing these rules. A check by Camnet TV in Lusaka's Central Business District this morning revealed a sad state of affairs. Meanwhile, Zambia has in the last 24 hours recorded 1,796 new cases out of 9,577 tests done spread across the country and 9,000 deaths.
Been repeatedly spoken about during the past that until the COVID-19 vaccination is achieved, the key to managing the COVID-19 pandemic is controlling human behavior. Yet, as cases in Zambia continue to increase, with stricter social restrictions being implemented, a key question remains, is anyone complying anymore? A check by Camnet TV at the Lusaka Central Business District this morning, it was observed that compliance to the COVID-19 rules of social distance, masking up, sanitizing and washing of hands in marketplaces is a rule that many have comfortably ignored. This footage shows how comfortably people are walking in crowded places without even masking up, and those selling not even a bucket of water to wash hands are seen, and yet the country is fighting to see a reduction in COVID-19 cases, a dream which seems impossible. Since the outbreak of the second wave, many lives have been lost. Still, this has not had any impact on the majority, as they seem to have taken things lightly and ignore the healthy rules. Are the relevant authority doing enough in addressing such? Coming to the political arena, it seems health guidelines have not been taken seriously. Like firstly, huge gatherings have been discouraged by relevant authority as they are fueling up the numbers. However, this message seems to be ignored as the country continues witnessing politicians gathering in huge crowds. However, innocent bus drivers are threatened by relevant authorities. Recently, Lusaka Province Minister Boman Lusambo conducted an inspection in bus stations to see if health guidelines were being followed by motorists. He had wholeheartedly disclosed that anyone found abrogating the law was going to be whipped.
If we see that Lusaka is not masked up, we are going to double our effort. And doubling our effort, we are going to be brutal. And we are not going to see to look at your faces.
Strangely, it may seem that the law does not apply to politicians who are found in huge gatherings, as the risk of anyone transmitting the virus is high. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Some parents of Lusaka have welcomed the decision by President Edgar Lungu to adjust forward the date of reopening of schools with reservations. The parents have, however, felt that if the country continues to record such alarming COVID-19 cases, schools should further delay the reopening as the only guarantee to safeguard the lives of the children. Details in this.
Following the presidential directive that schools reopen on the 1st of February 2021, instead of the earlier announcement made by the Minister of General Education Permanent Secretary that schools reopen on the 18th of January, many have welcomed the move, saying the 2 weeks will help them prepare adequately.
Madezi ya sapake kama mwaona tiwana bankara maningi swala 2020 swala kunzire chemushemushe hapa sifunika kuti madezi ya mpakira kufunika baborere ko fast so 2 weeks ya mene ifunika basegurire chirambe maskulu.
Some parents, however, feel that there might be need to delay a bit longer in reopening the schools if the country continues to record such alarming COVID-19 cases, as there is nothing important than the safety of their children.
It's fine, because back to Bapasema days in Shibaziva, he said, sometimes sometimes so I jama cases, Pakushta to a bag second distance in Shibazoma cases. In fact, makese zakariyo endelako it's fine munganga kalifuti balundako because it's singa chitelisting abana wababa bazikondole bazienda ku school but life yawe yankali in danger.
Yesterday, the 15th of January, President Edgar Lungu made a directive that all schools reopen on the 1st of February 2021, and the Minister of General Education and Higher Education, in conjunction with the Minister of Health and local government, be on top of things and ensure that all schools are ready for reopening on the 1st of February 2021. Despite the fear in some parents to take their children back to school, their hope is that once schools reopen, intensified measures will be put in place.
COVID-19 my cases every day because now whether I'm in a consider favorable just corona the pants because COVID-19 nikafat so kama funa madingi muri wo manja season yakaina because so it is
Miriam Kemba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Clearly, more sensitization needs to be done on the COVID-19 virus. Moving on in the news, but in a related development, Opposition National Congress Party leader Peter Chanda says the decision by President Edgar Lungu to adjust forward the date for reopening of schools for the first term from January 18th to February 1st is a step in the right direction. Pastor Chanda says the extension will allow schools and parents plan well for their children as they return to school in the wake of COVID-19. He notes that the second wave of COVID-19 is tragic to some extent, hence the need to ensure that proper measures such as hand-washing basins, sanitizers, desks placed 1 meter apart, and the pupils have masks before reopening of schools are put in place. Mr. Chanda has to this effect called on the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, to donate masks to pupils that may not have them before schools open, especially those in rural areas. Meanwhile, Mr. Chanda has also called on members of the public to take precautionary measures and ensure that their children are protected from contracting the virus.
Welcome the decision by government through His Excellency the President and the Minister of Health to extend the opening of schools from 18th to the 1st of February. We want to say that this is a step in the right direction in that it will enable the parents and guardians to prepare adequately for their pupils and the students, and at the same time it will also enable the schools, especially in the private school, to ensure that they put up all measures that are required in ensuring that we combat and prevent the spread of COVID-19. We are aware that the second wave of COVID-19 has come and it has hit us badly. We've seen many eminent people have died within the short period of time, and the numbers are escalating. So it is my prayer that within this period, safety measures will be put in place, and all of us as parents, guardians, and what will be ready to ensure that our children go to school in an environment where they are safe. At the same time, we understand that the school has to come up with the learning modules of reducing the congestion of learners in the classroom, and at the same time planning for them very well. So it is my prayer that the Minister of Health, the Minister of Education will do their part, and at the same time we are calling upon the Disaster Management Unit to ensure that they help in terms of capacitating those that may not have the face mask, especially in the rural part of this country. I'm calling upon all of us and all the people in the community. It is important that we understand that prevention of the spread of COVID-19 begins from our homes. So we must participate effectively.
Patriotic Front, Lusaka Province Deputy Youth Chairperson Kelvin Kaunda has called on Party Secretary General Davis Mwila to come up with a plan on how the General Conference will be held in the wake of the COVID-19. Speaking to journalists this morning, Mr. Kaunda, who is also Mwembeshi Ward Councillor in Matero constituency, has observed that the conference is expected to be held soon, will attract about 3,000 people, which he fears may be a recipe for spreading the COVID-19 virus. The youth leader in Lusaka province has since proposed that top provincial committee members in the 10 provinces be the ones to endorse the candidature of President Edgar Lungu on behalf of other members. Mr. Kaunda notes that the Patriotic Front has placed a lot of premium on the people's lives, hence calling on such measures to be put in place, adding that the failure to put up alternative measures may result in many people losing their lives to COVID-19. Meanwhile, Mr. Kaunda has also called on the Minister of Health to ensure that the lives of the people are protected through the lay-down procedures.
That COVID-19 is real, and therefore we can ill afford to put the life of His Excellency the President Dr. Edgar Lungu and the lives of our dear Central Committee members at risk. The Congress, the Patriotic Front Congress, is expected to attract in excess of 3,000 delegates. In excess of 3,000 delegates. At a time such as this poses a huge risk on the life of our dear President, on the life of the Central Committee members, and on the life of all the delegates to the Congress. As youths in Lusaka province, we would like to appeal to the Secretary General to come up with a strategy on how we are going to endorse the candidature of His Excellency the President Dr. Edgar Lungu without necessarily having to bring all the 3,000 plus delegates in one place. What we are proposing is that the provincial committees across the 10 provinces can be allowed to endorse the candidature of His Excellency the President and his nominated list of the members of the Central Committee. And this can be assumed to have been endorsed. I mean, this then can be assumed as having been elected by the Congress.
With the August 12, 2021 election, the political field seems to be getting fertile by the day, especially on parliamentary level. The Presidential Empowerment Initiative patron Camnet has been availed as a possible replacement for Given Luwinda, who is Kawata constituency member of parliament. Mr. Tembo becomes the second challenger of Mr. Luwinda's seat, the first one being Dr. Danny Yenga, a popular businessman in Kawata. Kawata is one of the fast developing constituencies in Lusaka, as evidenced from the good road network under the leadership of Given Luwinda, who's held onto the seat for close to 5 terms. Meanwhile, Camnet claims to know the constituency better than many other people, hence making him a better candidate for the people of Kawata. Mr. Tembo has since handed over the patronship position of the Presidential Empowerment Program to someone, adding that he is now on the ground working towards the August 12th general election, in which he hopes to take over from Given Luwinda. Let's take a look.
Empowerment presidential empowerment constituency lero bampera amakaya kwati jingira bantu waishwa pa field paka wadra kwishwa bwi ebo twagomba na obalishi wala pocha para onfika ero kulia ni myevu nga bamitandalira nga tabashira shingi shashino mwaisa na isana na topino naliumwa icha umbano naliumwa icha kuchipao nombano muku natukula ero ni kwa tema t-shirt ya Clement Tembo na mauda pera ngata wafuare wa chama ni batwali na wakashiwao.
On its side development, United Party for National Development, Copperbelt Provincial Vice Youth Chairman Gerald Ngoma has died. The late Gerald Ngoma, who passed on about 08 hours today in Dola Teaching Hospital, had been in intensive care unit after being involved in a road traffic accident that took the life of the provincial youth chairman, Ronald Manenga, who died on the spot. The accident happened on the Kitwe-Ndola dual carriageway on the 3rd of January 2021, left the late Gerald Ngoma in a critical condition while two other victims escaped with some injuries. The survivors, Sparks Kalenga and Martha Mututa, who have fully recovered from the injuries they sustained. The late Mr. Ngoma has been described as a freedom fighter who contributed immensely to the party. May his soul rest in peace. On this note, we take a break. Join me shortly for other interesting stories. Don't go away.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
And why do you look so pale and busy scratching yourself?
Well, Amwandi, you know my skin is very sensitive. I've tried all the skin products and nothing seems to work.
Have you tried Oracle Pure Glycerin?
Oracle Pure Glycerin? What's that?
Just give me a minute.
Oracle Pure Glycerin gives your skin a youthful and healthy glow.
Ish, you're glowing. Don't tell me.
Yes!
I already know the secrets.
Oracle Pure Glycerin!
Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for that perfect skin. "2021 is finally here. Zambia is at the crossroads heading towards general elections this August. In the world where fake news, biased reporting on national issues has become the order of the day, in a world where social media in most cases spills lies and exaggerated information, insightful coverage, Zambia needs one media. Living in a country where people are slowly promoting tribalism, hatred, bitterness and revenge, political temperature is heating up and people's hearts are perplexed. Zambia needs one media. Zambia being a Christian nation living under the lordship of Jesus Christ, the nation cannot afford a compromised gospel. Zambia needs a prophetic media house. For hope, peace and unity, Zambia needs Camnet television. For non-biased, factual reporting, balanced opinion, accurate news coverage, Zambia needs Camnet television. For national projects and development of our beloved country Zambia, watch Camnet TV on channel 274 DSTV, channel 98 on Go TV, and channel 106 on Topstar. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying on. We continue with the news. The Young African Leaders Initiative Governance Advisor Isaac Mwanza has charged that the enforcement of the Public Order Act has always been problematic since it was initiated, especially among political players. Mr. Mwanza notes that the Public Order Act in its current form gives more powers to the police and ministers who freely mingle, which he says should be changed. He explains that both the ruling and opposition parties have on many occasions been denied access to hold meetings, which has been a source of debate, especially on the part of the opposition. Mr. Mwanza notes that more than ever, there is need to reclaim the missed opportunity to refine the Public Order Act, adding that the country cannot have a perfect enforcement mechanism, but something that can be workable to all parties should be done soon. The Public Order Act says in parts that all public gatherings should have the blessings of the police, who should be notified 7 days before the actual day, but this has been a source of debate, especially among political players during election time.
The Public Order Act is not a problem. The enforcement of the Public Order Act has been problematic since it was brought into being. It was a tool that was used to regulate the natives of this country, the black people. The whites were enjoying their rights. Those who were in better positions in government were enjoying their rights. So it has been a problem from that point up to now. So this is why some of us have been calling for the refinement of the Public Order Act. We have missed that opportunity to come up with a new act that was going to be more democratic, to reduce the powers of the police when it comes to management of these public rallies. This Public Order Act, the way it is inside it, you will see that it gives certain exceptions. Ministers can do this, they're allowed. The other ones, they have to get permission. Those are the provisions which we needed to deal with, to clean it up so that we have the better one. When it comes to enforcement, there is still a problem. This matter has been in court several times. But we know that the Patriotic Front have been denied permission to hold some of their meetings. The opposition political parties are being denied permissions to hold some of their meetings. But the ones that are coming out more prominent, it's the opposition. They're able to display every time they're being denied to go ahead and hold their meetings. They're not being allowed to do that. That is where the problem is. So I think that all the stakeholders must sit down. We cannot have a perfect enforcement mechanism, but there must be an agreement generally that the police should take away to say this.
A youth-led organization called the Zambia Concerned Youth, ZCY, says political violence has the potential to hinder the outcome of the general election. Organization spokesperson Veni Musonda has told Camnet TV in an interview that the recent by-elections in the country have been characterized by violence and that the youths have been at the forefront of starting the fires. Ms. Musonda says youth should work at selling developmental ideas as opposed to being used as tools for political violence. He says no development can be triggered in a country where youths who are the future leaders are used as frontliners in attacking each other.
The youths are not supposed to be tools of violence. They're supposed to be tools of development. So whenever youths are engaged in election practices, they should not be used to be in the forefront of violence, because we know for sure the only people with energy to fight and cause violence are the youths. The old ones do not have that. But this also trickles down to the youths ourselves. What is it that we need? If we want development, can development come by using violence? It can't. Can we sell our ideas using violence? Because if I'm characterized as a violent person, no one wants to associate with me. They will have fear, but they will not have respect for me. So what are we commanding? Are we commanding fear or are we commanding respect? As leaders and upcoming leaders, we should command more respect than fear. So the youths, I think the best way to go about, especially these forthcoming elections, is let's buy into the ideas that people are selling. Let's not buy into the coins that they bring on the table to say, go and attack this one, go and attack that one. But if we want to foster development, we want to see our generation taking over, and then we also have children that will have to take over from us, we need to have a violence-free election.
ZESCO Limited says the commissioning of the Kafue Gorge Lower could stall due to the second wave of the COVID-19 outbreak, which is said to have continued ravaging most sectors of the economy. At its committee meeting held Thursday, 14th January 2021 via Zoom between ZESCO and the Zambia National Farmers Union, the power utility company said the movement of strategic personnel has been restricted, hence affecting completion. ZNFU Public Relations Officer Kakoma Kalei has reported that the plant reached 72% completion in the early 2020, with the first unit having been expected to be commissioned in the fourth quarter of 2020. Meanwhile, the second unit of the project was set to be commissioned in phases, which has now been set to commence in February 2021. It is expected that ZESCO will reduce load shedding when the KGL commissions units. In other news, Kansanshi Mining PLC has given its unionized workers a 15% salary increment in the 2021 and 11% in 2022, following a collective bargaining negotiation which ended on Wednesday, 13th January.
Can I have that meal over there? And I really want that crispy, fresh apple taste from the garden. Can I have happy apple?
I think I'll have my big bite 2 meal with happy waziwaka. Give us your
enjoy an appetizing big bite meal with an happy drink of your choice. A meal is not a meal without an happy drink. And now introducing Happy in a can.
The Cowbell Choco formula has been stolen. Get it back at all costs.
Tasting Cowbell Choco gives you the get up and go to be at the top of your game. Now with Vitality Plus Iron. Great tasting Cowbell Choco, a creamy chocolatey drink that helps give energy to get up and go.
We apologize for that interruption. However, we continue with the news. Kansanshi Mining PLC has given its unionized workers a 15% salary increment in the 2021 and 11% increment in 2022, following a collective bargaining negotiation which ended on Wednesday, 13th January 2021, after 13 sessions. The collective bargaining unit, which saw representatives from Kansanshi Mine Management and all the 5 trade unions, commenced in October 2020. Among other benefits, the minimum basic salary for the lowest paid employee has been adjusted to $4,460 per month, while education allowance increased to $2,800 per term for 2021 and $3,108 per term for 2022. Other benefits include the introduction of a company-sponsored private pension scheme for all employees, of which the company will contribute 5% of the basic salary for each employee. And Kansanshi Mine General Manager Antonio Mukotoma has thanked all union representatives at branch level and national level who sat on the collective bargaining unit. Important conditions of service agreed for the 2021-2022 collective agreement will expire on the 31st of December 2022. We now take a break. Join me shortly for international and sports news. Don't go away.
Dr. Bigron, musayibala komutienda okuni gift na land. Uchenkubeti uibise mojo basayone. Oh! Mwina moshi, nakuletera njinga. Latest inalufesi gear na mawaipa.
Difficult chidi ashiria njinga. Liam 19 pendef kondo. Transport, we got it.
Nanga phone for communication. Ipu sana chizungu. Yeah, you see what I mean?
It's a Camnet, difficult.
It's communication. We got it. Inemomi! Powerful system ndimba X-Buzz.
Mufumile kukalale. Na mnaimo muli bakumushi. We got it. Yo Bikron, utole noleta nchemfule mungani. Ngecho wachira pose na nchitinshi. 1, 2, 3, both of you. Kabala ngempang. Don't be stupid. We got it.
2021 is finally here. Zambia is at the crossroads heading towards general elections this August. In the world where fake news, biased reporting on national issues has become the order of the day, in a world where social media in most cases spills lies and exaggerated information, insightful coverage, Zambia needs one media. Living in a country where people are slowly promoting tribalism, hatred, bitterness and revenge, political temperature is heating up and people's hearts are perplexed. Zambia needs one media. Zambia being a Christian nation living under the lordship of Jesus Christ, the nation cannot afford a compromised gospel. Zambia needs a prophetic media house. For hope, peace and unity, Zambia needs Camnet television. For non-biased, factual reporting, balanced opinion, accurate news coverage, Zambia needs Camnet television. For national projects and development of our beloved country Zambia, watch Camnet TV on channel 274 DSTV, channel 98 on Go TV and channel 106 on Topstar. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Thank you for staying on. We now look at international news. The Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni has won his 60th term after almost 4 decades in power. Closest rival pop star turned musician Bobby Wine, whose real name is Robert Kyangulanyi, said that the results were not genuine. Wine's representative says they will only sign the declaration of accepting the results if they are given the chance to write their observation on the same paper. Bobby and his team say they will explore other options to dispute the elections. Museveni has been accused of intimidating everyone ahead of the election. Ahead of the election, the internet was cut without due explanation from the authorities in Uganda. And in other news on the global front, U.S. President-elect Joe Biden has outlined his coronavirus plan, promising to boost supplies of the vaccine. He wants 100 million doses administered within his first 100 days in office, and Biden says he will invoke a Cold War-era law if necessary to help increase production. Al Jazeera has more on these stories.
Not many. This was widely expected. President Museveni has been leading with a wide margin from the very start, and the voter turnout was 10 million of the 18 million registered voters. That's 57% of the total registered voters. Now, Bobby Wine, you mentioned him there, has already rejected this result, and joining me now is his representative here at the Tally Center. Thank you very much, Benjamin Katana, for joining us. Are you going to sign the declaration form?
Thank you very much. We can only sign this declaration form if we are allowed to put our reservations on the same form, because tomorrow when we take other measures, we do not want them to say that we are not at the Tally Center, because we have been here, we have observed what has been happening, and we'll receive the results. If we are allowed to comment and indicate our reservations about the whole process, then we can sign but indicate those reservations.
What reservations do you have about the process, especially this tally process?
The entire tally process has been conducted in a very dark and it lacked transparency. We, from the beginning, were assured by the Electoral Commission that each candidate or their agents would receive copies of the results from the district before they are transmitted to the National Tally Center, so that we are able to verify when they are reading here. That was not done because, first of all, internet has been switched off, but we are not even given a hard copy. So the entire process here has been reduced into a ritual where we sit and the commission reads fabricated figures without indicating they are from which polling station, from which district, but they only read that this one has this percentage, the other one has that percentage, but they do not show us where that percentage has come from, which we contest.
Bobby Wine has rejected this result. He says that he has evidence of widespread rigging in favor of President Yoweri Museveni. What evidence does he have? He hasn't shown journalists that evidence.
We, first of all, have had agents across the country. Many of them were arrested on the polling day. Others were chased away from the polling station. However, through some of the agents who stayed at the polling stations and the vigilant citizens, we have been able to collect results from across the country, and at an appropriate time we'll be announcing them to the people of Uganda. What is being announced here is an attempt to undermine the will of the people of Uganda.
Each day used to bring tears for COVID triage nurse Melissa Minor Brown. The crying has stopped, but the stress remains. She hopes getting vaccinated will ensure she and her family don't get COVID-19 again and help eradicate the virus.
I want to be the one to take a stand for those communities and educate them on why it's important that we get this vaccine, because COVID-19, it doesn't discriminate, but it has hit our communities so hard. And we have to start to build that trust so that we can get back to living the lives we once lived.
In New York City, once the nation's COVID-19 epicenter, the vaccination rollout stalled just as it was revving up. Barring a significant delivery of vials, the city expects to run out of vaccines in a week. Supply and distribution issues continue to plague the country. Adding to the challenges, the CDC has released a report warning that vaccination efforts are critical to halting the spread of a more contagious variant of the coronavirus. It's been detected in 10 states and could lead to a spike in infections and deaths. President-elect Joe Biden plans to create a national vaccination program with community sites across the country. His goal is to get 100 million shots into the arms of Americans in his first 100 days and hire a public health workforce numbering 100,000 people. He will invoke the Defense Production Act to increase the manufacture of vaccines and personal protection equipment.
This will be one of the most challenging operational efforts ever undertaken by our country. But you have my word that we will manage the hell out of this operation. We need funding from Congress to make this happen.
As the United States approaches 400,000 coronavirus deaths, the Biden transition team announced, come next week, the Trump administration's Operation Warp Speed will be no more. The incoming president will be announcing a new name for the country's pandemic response program.
We now look at sports news. In sports news, Soweto Giants, Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates returned to winning ways in the 2020-2021 DStv Premiership season on a record-breaking day for the SuperSport United Bradley Grobler on Wednesday, 13th January. The Amakosi broke a 7-game winless streak, which stretched back to October with a 1-0 win over Amazulu in Durban. Samir Nokovic scored the only goal of the game in what was his first start of the the season as the Chiefs rose up to 10th place on the league standing to open a 4-point buffer between themselves and the relegation zone. Pirates move up to the 4th spot, 7 points behind league leaders Mamelodi Sundowns. For that note, we end our news, but before we go, let's look at the headlines once again. Government calls on well-wishers to fund the 2021 census. Parents still skeptical about the reopening of schools amidst the COVID-19. And stakeholders demand for a fair application of the Public Order Act ahead of the general elections. In international news, Ugandan President Museveni wins 60th term. And in sports news, Chief Pirates win on a record-breaking day for Super Sport. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, and it's coming from Proverbs 25 verse 2, and it reads, "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, and the glory of kings to investigate the matter." That's all we could accommodate for you on the news desk tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember to ensure that you observe the COVID-19 health guidelines to stop the spread of the virus. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. Good night.